diverse communities. So with that, I'll pass it on to Iona to introduce herself and share a bit about herself and then just kick off the session. So looking forward to a amazing session today. So over to you, Iona.
Thank you so much, Anish. I'm just going to share my screen so I can show you guys some visuals. Can you see my screen here?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, great. Well, yeah, welcome to How to Build an Online School with Zero Tech Skills. As Anish said, my name is Iona Douglas. I'm the founder of Verbivore. We're an edtech startup, and I'm going to be guiding you through what might initially seem like a very daunting task, but once you finish this webinar, you should see that it's not so daunting. And with the right frameworks and tools, you'll be armed to bring your project to fruition. So why am I qualified to give this webinar? Well, I have zero technical skills if we are qualifying technical skills as programming skills. And yet in March 2024, I incorporated Verbivore. At the moment, we have 9 courses available. That will be 12 by the end of the year. We've got more than 400 users, 4 B2B partnerships, 3 B2O partnerships. And yeah, this wasn't always the plan though. In 2016, I graduated with a bachelor's in drama from the University of Manchester. Then I did a TEFL and I went to go teach English in a school in the community of Valencia in Spain. Then in 2019, I became completely self-employed before doing a master's in translation studies at the Universidad de Pompeu Fabra in Barcelona. So I mention all of this not to blow my own trumpet, but just to highlight that my background is not at all in tech, but very much in education and language education. But before Verbivore, I really had no experience in running a business, managing a school, building a website, or building courses. I knew that I was a good teacher. I knew that I wanted to get into instructional design and that I had extensive knowledge of English. But nobody would give me a job as an instructional designer because I had no technical skills and no experience in corporate. So I decided to do it myself. And really, it took me about 2 years to acquire the knowledge that I'm going to share with you in today's webinar. So hopefully it is going to save you a lot of time and investigation. My experience does align with building a language school, but I think the steps and the methods can be modified to enable you to build whatever kind of school you're looking to create. So what I'd like to do first is just ask you what you're hoping to get out of this webinar and if you have any questions. So I think you can just write any questions in the chat. Tooling with code, is it a question? Without code. Yeah, I didn't use any code at all while, okay. Tooling without code is your expectations. Yeah, we're going to look at some, we're going to look at some frameworks. The SMART framework, and we're going to look at a tool for prioritization, and then I'm going to give you some tools that you can use to build a site and produce courses. Building a technical team. It's a very interesting question, Yasrab, and maybe I'll come to it at the end if we have time, because the truth of it is I don't have a technical team. And that's kind of the whole point of this webinar, is that you don't need a technical team to build an MVP or to build a product that you can start to market. It's certainly true that with a technical team, things would go faster and there'd be more innovations, but you don't need it to get started. Yes, there is some AI involved, mostly on the production side. I'm going to show you that in a moment or in a few minutes. Okay, well, I'll check back to see if there's any more questions later, and I'll deep dive into those questions at the end of the session. But let's get back to this. So I want to talk, we're going to talk today about SMART criteria for product development. If you're involved in tech or product development in general, you're probably already very familiar with this. So we're not going to focus too much on it because there's a lot of resources on the internet about that. the Eisenhower Matrix for prioritization, and then I'm going to give a really brief introduction to LMS platforms, video production tools, and audio production tools. Not going to be a super in-depth conversation today. I will try and give a few demos, but really I just kind of want to guide you towards the tools that you should be doing your own research about after the webinar. So before looking at specific tools, we're going to look at SMART criteria for product development. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So you have a goal. Your goal is you want to build an online school for learning English, or maybe it's for the hospitality sector or to train pilots. Perhaps you want to train your staff on customer acquisition and lead generation. There's a lot you can do. So let's have a look at specific. One specific goal could be develop an IELTS preparation course. This is actually a real life goal that I currently have. So great. We know specifically what we're going to do. What next? Measurable. This needs to be quantifiable. You need to be able to be working with numbers for this. So I know that I want this to have 4 modules and each section to have 7 modules. Achievable, I've changed this to achievable milestones. If you say to yourself, I'm going to build an online school, I'm going to try and do everything from day one, it's not going to work. Nothing is going to get done. So it's better to divide everything into smaller deadlines or smaller milestones that you can focus on. So for me, that looks like writing the scripts, creating the videos, creating the audios, and then creating the supplementary materials for each course. Relevant. You need to make sure that you're prioritizing the right thing. And we'll come back to this a little bit when we talk about the Eisenhower Matrix. But you need to make sure that you're focusing your attention where it needs to focus. Is this course relevant for Verbivore at the minute? Yes. I have a lot of sales leads that are asking for this, as well as a lot of students who are preparing to take the IELTS. So the development of this course is really going to bring the company forward. Time bound. You need to set a realistic completion deadline, and this is going to absolutely depend on you. I'm very fortunate. Some might say unfortunate in that I'm single. I live alone in an island off an island. I live in Gozo. It's the second island of Malta, so there really aren't many distractions. I have no pets and I have no children. So I'm very lucky in that I can dedicate all of my free time to this, but maybe you guys have a life and friends and things to do. So that's probably not the case for you. So you need to be realistic about how much time you can dedicate to building a course or building a school each day. And then you have to be strict with yourself. You just have to execute. There's no cheat code for this. It's just about sitting down and getting it done. But SMART criteria can be adapted to every part of the product development cycle. For example, you might have a goal which is to set up an LMS platform. We're going to talk about LMS platforms later on in more detail. So the measurable aspect of this could be that you choose 2, 3, 4 platforms to trial, to get comfortable with, to know what you're working with, to know which one is going to suit your project the best. Achievable, make a decision on which LMS platform to choose. Relevant, you need an LMS platform to host your courses. You're not going to be able to run an online school without one unless you have a tech team, and that complicates everything even further. You need to be able to manage the team. You need funding to do that. And time bound. I want to do this in the next 2 weeks, or you might want to do this in the next 2 weeks. So I mentioned before that you need to make sure that it's relative. So I want to introduce you to the Eisenhower Matrix, or as I call it, your anti-shiny new idea syndrome tool, which is maybe not as catchy as I thought it was. I really struggle from shiny new idea syndrome. I get so excited by new course ideas, new ideas for webinars, new ideas for merchandise, online events, online games. On one hand, this is great because this shows that I'm passionate about what I do. I've always got something to drive me forward. But on the other hand, it means that I'll often try and end up balancing 6 different projects and everything takes longer than it should. So something that's really helped me is the Eisenhower Matrix. And actually, this is something that is covered on Verbivore's C1 Business English course. So you can see the matrix here. We've got urgent and important. These are tasks that you need to do. They need immediate attention and you have to do them now. Urgent but not important. tasks that you need to delegate. So they need to get done, but maybe they're not absolutely crucial for you to be doing them. Maybe you could ask someone else to help you out. It's also true that you might not be able to delegate. For the longest time, I was working on Verbivore alone. I didn't have anyone to delegate any tasks to. I'm very lucky now that I have a couple of amazing interns that I can give some tasks to. And if you get to the point where you can register your school as a business with the local authorities, then you'll qualify for internship schemes like that of Erasmus. So maybe you'll get to the point where you can delegate. Or maybe you already have a team. So urgent, not important, delegate. If it's not urgent, but it is important, decide. This is a little bit vague, but maybe it doesn't need immediate action. So you can put a reminder in your calendar for next month or 6 months down the line. And delete tasks that are neither urgent nor important. I spent 2 days earlier this month designing calendars. I had a really good idea for a day-a-page calendar. You could rip the page off every day. You could learn a new phrasal verb. Spent 2 days designing this before realizing that there's no print to order company that does day-a-page calendars. Waste of time. Nobody uses my platform because they want calendars. They use my platform because they want to learn English. So this is an example of a task that I really should have deleted in advance. So how could this look? It's not the best design. Graphic design it's neither my passion nor my skill, but we'll make do. So, for example, at the minute, something I really need to do is finalize the course outline. This is for the IELTS preparation course that I'm preparing. I can't move forward with it without doing this. So this is urgent and important. Something that is urgent but not so important is responding to intern applications. It's urgent because obviously it's very important for them, and I want to be polite and I want to, not burn bridges. Is it super important to the school and the company at the minute? No. Can I delegate this task? Maybe not. But maybe we can delay it a little bit. If I had a team, I would certainly delegate this task. Not urgent, but important. Research additional tools. You always need to make sure that you are 2 steps ahead of the game when it comes to tools, especially at the minute. I can't remember who mentioned AI in the chat, but every week there seems to be a new AI tool that is useful for creating visuals or audio or summarizing texts. It's kind of impossible to stay on top of everything, but it is necessary, and it is going to enable you to do things faster and more efficiently and cheaper in the long run. And as I mentioned before, not urgent, not important, designing merchandise. Get rid of it. We can come back to it next year if we think that it's important. But this is really important. You have to iterate. Nokia started off producing toilet paper, Lamborghini started off producing tractors, and Samsung was originally a supermarket. So the company that you have today or the school you have today is not going to be the school that you have a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now. And I think it's really important to bear this in mind. I think a lot of people self-censor, a lot of people decide not to move forward with something or not to launch something because they think, well, it's not perfect or it's very far away from the idea that I originally had. Just do it. Do it wrong and then improve. And that's, I think, the best advice that I can give anyone. So yeah, the Eisenhower Matrix. I'm an extremely visual person. If it's not written down on a list, if I can't see it, it's not going to happen. That might not be the case for you, but I think the lesson to be taken from this is that turn your weaknesses into strengths. My weakness is that if I can't see it, it's not in my brain. So I make sure that I can see it by writing down a version of the Eisenhower Matrix at the beginning of every week. So this brings us to LMS platforms. What is an LMS platform? It's a learning management system. In plain English, it's a website where you're going to host your courses that you build. And a lot of learning management systems now let you build the courses in the platform itself. So previously you would have maybe had to make a course using a HTML packet or a SCORM packet and then upload it. That's not the case anymore. A lot of them are really user-friendly, really intuitive, and we're going to have a look at a couple of them now. So this is where you'll host your courses, host your videos, your PDFs, all of your exercises. You can also manage your subscriptions, and you can connect them to payment platforms such as Stripe. So think of this as the office, I guess, the online office or the online school itself. Here are some examples of LMS platforms. I personally use LearnWorlds, though this webinar is not sponsored by LearnWorlds, unfortunately. I use LearnWorlds because it's very customizable. It has built-in course creation tools, like I mentioned before, great monetization features, and you can sell your courses directly on the platform. It is on the pricier side, although they regularly do discounts and offers. So I think if you make an account and stick around for a month or two, they'll probably contact you about a great discount that they have. Very similar to Kajabi, as far as I can understand, very similar platforms. Teachable, I would say, is great for beginners. It's got a really easy to use interface. It's very user friendly. It doesn't have so much customization. But if you're looking for something simple or something to just start testing whether this is for you, then Teachable might be the one to go for. And Moodle is open source. It's free. So if you're working with a very tight budget, then Moodle might be the platform to use for you. It does require a little more setup and maintenance. So there's a bit more of a learning curve there. I would also say, however, that when I've been talking to educational institutions, universities about selling their proposed products to them, a lot of them use platforms based on Moodle. So if you use Moodle, it might be easier to integrate your solution with another institution in the future. And think of it again, very similar to LearnWorlds and Kajabi. What I recommend doing is what I outlined here in this smart page. Choose 2 or 3 platforms to trial, make a free account, use the free trial, get as familiar as possible as you can with the platform. Make 3 free trial accounts, make 4, take as much time as you need to investigate, to do your research, to find out how these platforms work. Learn by doing, which again is something I'm going to repeat here with video production. You do not need to be an expert to create a video. Gone are the days where you need to be an expert at using Final Cut Pro, or when you need lots of fancy software or expensive software. It's the same deal. I'm going to show you in a second Beyond, which is what I use just to highlight how easy it is. Again, start with free trials, use a free provider, play around for a few days, learn by doing. So as mentioned, I use Beyond and Synthesia. Somebody asked if AI is involved, and yes, Synthesia is a platform where you can create videos that use AI avatars, and I'm just going to show you. This is from the IELTS course that I'm currently preparing for January. I'm not going to run through the whole thing. I'm not sure if you could hear the audio there, but I hope you could. So Synthesia, it is quite pricey, and there's a limit to the amount of videos you can create in each account every month. But it certainly makes the videos a little more engaging, gives them that extra professional touch. And it's not something you need to be an expert to use either. This is Beyond. This is just a video that I was editing earlier today. I just wanted to highlight how user-friendly it is. You can continue the last scene, you can add blank scene, then you're able to add text, which can be any kind of text here. You can move this around the page. You can choose which animations you want it to enter with. Not only that, but you're able to choose different kinds of scenes. So if you would like to have a scene that's based in a gym, for example, it comes with lots of pre-made scenes that you can choose. And then you can overlay text and effects on top of this. Again, I'm not going to give you a really in-depth demo of Beyond. It's not my company. I'm not here to sell their product, but I just wanted to give you a quick look at what the interface looks like. And then you can also upload your own images or your own audio here. Can everyone still see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Great. Great. If you don't want to pay, so these are both paid platforms. If you don't want to pay, there are free options available. I think both OpenShot Studios and, well, I think this is available on Mac and Windows. I'm not sure if Microsoft Clipchamp is also available on Mac, but there will be a provider available. You just want to search free video editing software. I don't use them because I like Beyond and I like Synthesia, but that's absolutely up to you and your budget and what you want to do. So my workflow is write the scripts, create the videos, and create the audio, which brings us to audio production. You've got two options here. You can record your own voice with a microphone or your own phone and edit this in Audacity, which is, again, another free tool for audio editing. Don't do this. I just would recommend investing a little bit of money in a platform that uses AI to create audio. I spent 3 months, I think, recording my own voice with a microphone in a cupboard covered in blankets to make it as quiet as possible for the first course. A massive waste of time. Then you have the issue of having to listen back to your own voice, edit your own voice. It's a really uncomfortable, horrible process, and it's never going to sound good. You're not a professional voiceover artist as much as you wish you were. I'm talking to myself here. So just make things 10 times simpler, 1,000 times faster, and use AI to create audio. So I use PlayHT. That's only because I haven't had time to check out Artlist, but this has been recommended to me by a lot of people. And I'm just going to show you PlayHT here. When I was playing the video before, could you hear it? Was the audio working?
It was not very clear.
Okay. Well, I'll try and show you a little bit this, but again, I would really recommend going and doing your own research after the webinar. So on PlayHT, you make a project, you can choose different voices. So this could be, I really like Lottie actually, so we're gonna stick with Lottie, but you can choose other voices, and then we can put. It's as simple as clicking generate all, waiting for a few seconds. And then this does occasionally happen. So you do have to be a bit creative. Instead of saying AI, the letters, I'm going to say AI, write it out phonetically, regenerate. But that's basically it. You can create entire paragraphs, entire scripts.
Hello.
And you can generate as many as you like without having to use a microphone or to record your own voice. So, in summary, be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Use the Eisenhower Matrix to prioritize or whatever works for you, but just make sure that you are prioritizing. Find an LMS provider, learn how to edit videos, and leverage AI to build a team of voice actors. And that is how to build, or an introduction to how to build an online school with zero technical skills. You can follow me on LinkedIn here. If you have any questions or you want to discuss things further, you can also email me here. I'll leave this up just for a few seconds, but then I'll go to the chat and just see if there are any questions I can answer in the last 5 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna check the chat. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Was there anything that was unclear or that you'd like to know more about? You could get digital copies of the cameras. I can speak to you about that later, Shivram. So yeah, with regard to building a technical team, Yasrab, I haven't yet. I'm in the process of looking for a CTO, but it's not a decision that's made overnight. But I think there are enough tools around now that you don't need to. Obviously, my platform is a long way away from where I would like it to be eventually. I'd like to be able to give feedback on speaking and longer form writing tasks. There are certain other innovations I'd like to implement that I would need a tech team for. But as I highlighted before, Nokia started with toilet paper. So the final product is never anything close to what the initial product is, and I think this is enough in a digital school. So in terms of attendance, I'm not sure what you mean. I can't share with you the page that has all of the users for Verbivore for GDPR reasons. I'm not sure what you mean by online rooms, but with Learn Worlds, you can schedule live events. I think you can integrate Zoom's API, or you can have Zoom integrated onto the platform. Generally, schools use a Blackboard app, so maybe the title of this webinar was not, or was slightly misleading. So Verbivore is a CMS platform. So it's an online school in the sense that Udemy or Skillshare is an online school. So we host courses for academic and professional English, but we don't do any live sessions directly yet, and we don't have something like Blackboard. The students are able to make notes in the courses on their own personal accounts. And yeah, you can integrate both Zoom and Teams with LearnWorlds. I'm not sure if you can with Kajabi or Teachable or Moodle. Any other questions? Oh, I thought you had a question, Andre. No, not nada. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Shivam and Anish and Otef. I hope it was useful. As I said, feel free to reach out to me if you'd like to know anything else, or if you'd like to speak about education or LMS platforms in general.
Yes. Thanks, Iona. It was a really informative session. It was a great session, and we hope to have you again.
Yeah, no worries. Well, have a lovely day.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.